Fade it out. That was fun. I hated stopping that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to UUCP. I'm Mary Beth. I'll be your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her. And I just want to say welcome, a big fat welcome to everybody. If this is your first time or you've been here lots of times, we're so happy to have you. If you don't know this already, you're home. This is where you belong. You're loved, and we're a welcoming, loving community, and I hope that you find that out soon if you haven't already. So that being said, hopefully if you are new, when you came in, you received some information about our church. If not, we have some pamphlets, information about has our covenant. We have some 8 principles. Normally we play that video, but we have a packed full service. So I skipped over that for today, but it is in our pamphlet. Also online, we have everything you could possibly need to know on our website, uupensacola.org. It's right there. So yeah, if you have any questions or just curious about what we stand for as a community, go to our website. It has it all. So yes, so welcome. And welcome to those of you joining online. We're happy to have you there as well. So I'll take a minute and remind everybody to please silence their cell phones and anything else that makes noises. Again, we have a full service, and it's a really good one, of course. So we want to make sure we're here, present in the moment and focused. And just also as a note about our church, we are a lay-led congregation, so every Sunday is different. We have a different speaker every week. This Sunday we have several speakers, one that looks familiar to you, I'm sure, and then a few new faces, so we're very excited to hear from them. But we love having different perspectives every week. So anyway, so that's a little bit about our community. And I have a few announcements. First and most importantly, Sunday sweets. Cakes and pies, a feast for the eyes. For decadence and bliss, try a slice of that or this. If your taste buds you aim to ease, Sunday sweets is sure to please. Thank you. I can't take credit. Actually, Margaret usually writes our poems, and she is out this week, so Brett Ramsey decided to fill in. I think he did a pretty good job filling Margaret's clever shoes. So, yeah. Okay, so Sunday Sweets, if you didn't see it when you came in, it's a big sugary table out front in the foyer. And if you are new, or Ian is not new, but he has yet to get his free piece of, dessert. So if you're new, or you're Ian, go to the lobby and get a free slice of pie, of cake. We've got several different things to choose from. Or hopefully you brought your cash. If you didn't, we can take Venmo too. So don't worry, we'll cover you. It's fine, we will work it out. Just get there. That's the most important thing. Also, we hope you will join us on March 9th for a very special service to mark Women's History Month. We'll be joined by a women's choir and the founder of Pensacola's FemFest. It's not too late for any UUCP women who would like to sing with us to get involved. So if you're interested, please contact Claire Helton, who's out sick today, but Laura Keith King can help as well, and she's here. I know they've started rehearsals, but yeah, never too late, and I'm sure that's going to be a really cool celebration. So, and then my last announcement, we will hold a newcomer orientation February 23rd. It's following the Sunday service that day. Newcomer orientation is a time for recent visitors, prospective members and friends, and recent members and friends to learn more about how we as a church function. How you can get involved, what it means to be a member or a friend of our congregation. So if you're interested in that, please see Lauren Anzaldo. She's our membership team leader, if you have any questions. And she's not here today, but if you do have any questions, see me and I'll get the answer somehow. We'll work that out. So anyway, okay, that's all the announcements. Thank you for your time and attention on that. Before we get into things, I want you to turn to a neighbor and ask them very seriously, are you in? Are you in? You in? Okay, I think we're all in. If we're not, we should be after that, right? Okay, let's take a minute. Take a big, deep breath. Again, normally we have a good time for centering music, but since we have a lot going on, I just want to take a brief second to and out. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and I know it would be very easy to sleep in on a Sunday morning or binge watch something or just dive into a book, but we're so glad that you're here and that you're breathing with us and that you're learning with us and here to just experience our community. So I'm going to light the chalice lighting. Actually, would you mind helping me light it while I read some chalice words? Thank you. So for our chalice lighting, may the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. And may we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life. May it be so. Thank you, Laura. So I said it's a special Sunday because we have some special music written by our very own Mike and Rivka Kilmer. Hopefully you received, I think we put some sheet music on your chairs. So if not, let me know and I can make sure you get those. But I'll invite the choir to come. If you're willing and able to stand and sing with us, that would be great. And we'll sing our opening song called Remember Me, and then followed by our covenant. So if you want to remain standing afterwards.
My
will you join me in saying our covenant, please? It'll be up here. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. You may be seated. Thank you, choir. This is a time of service where we can share with our community, with our family and friends, a joy or a sorrow, a concern, something where we can grieve with you and celebrate with you. So we'll light a candle, and this is just for here in this sanctuary. It's not aired on our website and online. So just for our community here today. But we'll light a candle, and again, we'll grieve with you. We'll celebrate with you. And the first candle I'll light will just be kind of a blanket candle for everything going on in the world, in our country, in our lives right now. Again, I know there's lots going on, lots of turmoil. We've all shed some tears, I think, over the past month and 2 months, maybe longer. So I'll light a candle for that. And then if you would like to share, please just line up on either side and share your name and briefly what you would like to share with the community. a pledge drive time. And well, I've left my clicker somewhere. Oh, it's here. Yeah. There it is. Thank you. And yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm your host, Mary Beth Ramsey. Thank you for coming to this surprise game show. This is my lovely assistant, Brett Ramsey. Isn't he lovely? Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, so this game show is to figure out if you're in or not. And so basically, I'm going to show you some slides up on the screen there, and I'm going to ask you a show of hands which one you prefer, and then take a look around and see if you're in or not. So we'll figure that out. Anything you want to add? No? Okay, great. All right, so are we clear? I'm going to call them out, and I'm going to ask you this or that. Got it? And you just raise your hand. Ready? He's going to help me figure out who's in. First one, easy. Cat or dog? If you're a cat person, raise your hand. Okay, all right, both, that's fine. Now, if you're a dog person, raise your hand. Oh, I think the dogs are the in. Yeah, okay, all right. You got it? Next one. Peanut butter, creamy or crunchy? Creamy people. Okay, this is a good show. And crunchy. Raise your, and in that counts as like 5 hands right there. Okay, I think crunchy won. So we've got dog, crunchy.
Those are my people, by the way, creamy or crunchy.
Yeah, I'm the creamy. Next up, book readers. Do you like the paperback or you like the digital copy? Old school paper. Old school, oh yeah. Hands down. That's me. Digital people?
Oh, we do that?
Okay, that's okay.
All on this side.
Yeah.
Oh, you back in the back there.
You're loved too. You're just way outnumbered. That's okay. Next up, sweet or savory? Do we like a savory treat? Raise your hand. Savory? Okay, how about the sweet people? Sweet tooth it is. We got a lot of sweet teeth here. Love it. That was, yeah. Next one. Early bird or night owl? You like to rise with the sun, you like to stay out and party all night? Early birds? Raise your hand. Good amount, okay. And the night owl people? Ooh, that might be, it was close, but yeah, okay. Early birds. Interesting, okay. And I think we got a few more. Now this one's very important. Serious question. Toilet paper, do you go it over or under? Over. This is the right answer, and frankly, the only answer. If you go under, okay, raise your hand if you're under. Now these are the crazy people. Yeah. I'd ask you to leave, but we're an all-inclusive church here, so I'm not gonna, but oof. Okay. I think I got scheduled or spontaneous. I think I know the answer to this, but who prefers to plan things? Schedule things, okay? Now, who prefers to just willy-nilly go with the flow? I can't believe that.
That was pretty split.
That's like, I think scheduled.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to do it one more
Yeah, scheduled. Okay? Yeah, I think they win. And now spontaneous? Yeah, scheduled. It is. All right. Okay, I'm going to remember that. I think that's, cake or ice cream? Both, yes, I know, this is a tough one, but, if it's like, life or death, cake? Cake? Oh, okay. And ice cream. Ice cream wins, hands down, yeah, that's a big one. I think so, I think we're good. Okay, so I think we figured out who is in the in crowd, is that right? Either way,
I think you're loved, right?
Yes, one thing to remember is if you looked around, there are someone in your crowd in every question. So it's an important thing to remember that even if you're outnumbered, you still have your group.
That's right. Thank you to my lovely assistant, Brett. Thank you to this lovely audience. We appreciate your participation. And come back next
big
Pledge
thanks
Drive.
to Mary Beth, our host,
thank
right
you,
in.
Thank you. Be sure to come back next Pledge Drive. And Lori, do you want to come up and say a few words about our Pledge Drive since we're on topic? Thank you.
So, it's me again, it's Laurie. Today starts week 2 of our 2-week annual pledge drive. It's for the budget. We have fun, and it's something that's real important. There are a couple ways that you can actually submit your pledge. There's little cards that are around, and on the reverse side, there's our web address, where to click, It's a fill-in online, hit submit, nice and easy. Also, there are traditional paper copies, which are out in the lobby. The paper copy and the online copy of the pledge form look pretty much the same. It's not only about making your annual pledge for financial support for the church for the upcoming year, which begins 1 July, but it's also your membership reaffirmation. Once a year, we ask folks to reaffirm their membership or their friendship with the church. So that's going on. Today begins week 2. It runs for 2 weeks. And what will happen after that is once we get all the results in, then we massage those numbers, and then that will turn into the church's annual budget. You will have an opportunity to vote on the budget at the annual meeting, which will take place in mid-May. So this is just a part of the larger process, which gets us to making sure our church is the best that it can be so we can all be in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to take an offertory. So if you don't know, we are member funded only. So we're going to have some ushers pass around some baskets. If you are able and willing to give of some of your treasure, that would be greatly appreciated. You can also give online. If you haven't heard from our pledge drive, most of our members and friends give online. They sign up where it's auto-directed. So that's why our baskets look so empty, because it's 2025 and we want to set it and forget it. So you can do that, or you can write a check, or whatever. Just ask. But if you have something to put into the basket, we'll pass those around. And Laura is going to lead us in our Pledge Drive theme song for the year that she wrote, with apologies to Kenny Loggins. But no, I think it's a great song, and y'all should all know it. But want to get us started? We got the words up here.
Nobody worry about me.
a great cover. Okay, should we sing the kids out, Mike? Maybe do a quick version?
Very quickly.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, go in peace. Go now in joy. Let us feel the love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. It's my honor to introduce one of our speakers. You know him, we all know him, we all love him. Joe, our member, our president, good friend. Thank you, Joe. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. I've got these bios, but I'm gonna try to get through them because I want us to have plenty of time to talk about our program. So our guests today are Robin Reshard and Dr. Jamin Wells. Robin, yeah, go ahead and give them a round of applause. While they're coming up, I'll introduce them. Robin is a community historian who co-founded with husband Lloyd the Kukua Institute, a nonprofit organization that adapts the stories of African Americans through art, history, science, and technology. She has contributed research and stories to other projects, including the book By Hands Now Known and the forthcoming book Have Horn Will Travel, a biography of Herman Jr. Cook, and the 2018 documentary A Long Time Coming, a 1955 baseball story. In 2017, Robin was named as one of 52 exceptional people nationwide for USA Today Network's We Are One Nation project. Since 2013, she and Lloyd have hosted the Pensacola Network series of community conversations. Dr. Jamin Wells is the Associate Dean of the College of Arts, Social Sciences, and Humanities at the University of West Florida. He is an Associate Professor of History and previously directed the Public History Graduate Program, which was my program. He founded the UWF Digital Humanities Lab in 2017. Dr. Wells is committed to researching, writing, and teaching a usable past. A graduate of the Hagley Program in the History of Capitalism, Technology, and Culture at the University of Delaware, he has led numerous public history projects, including the investigation into T.T. Wentworth's role in the Pensacola Ku Klux Klan, and the oral history project that was utilized in our own Scott Satterwhite's book, A Punk House in the Deep South. Jamin's first book, Shipwrecked, Coastal Disasters and the Making of the American Beach, won the John Lyman Book Award in U.S. Maritime History. So we're going to be talking today about the Writing the Past project, which we are the co-editors of. And I'm going to use this little clicker thing. So, yeah, come on over, guys. We're just going to take turns at the microphone. Oh, thank you. Mainly for Robin. But, so as you can see, this was a collaborative, community-based, I have to look at it because I don't remember it, project sharing overlooked stories of Northwest Florida's African-American community. And the inspiration for this was the New York Times project Overlooked or Overlooked No More, which started in 2018. And the idea was to showcase individuals who, for different discrimination reasons, were not recognized at the time of their deaths. And so basically new obituaries were written and published as though they had just passed away. The year after that, 2019, is when we saw the 1619 project, and this is kind of, you know, part of a long kind of trend of going more bottom-up storytelling, bottom-up history, where you're not just looking at the great men, the predominantly white men who were involved in all these big events, but looking at stories that have been overlooked. 2020, of course, we have not only the start of the pandemic, but the kind of reemergence of the Black Lives Matter movement. And in that summer, as you all may remember, here in Pensacola, this beautiful photo at the graffiti bridge of a protest there, it renewed the conversation to remove the Confederate monument that was in what was Lee Square, Florida Square on Palafox Street. And in those conversations, Tom Garner wrote a letter to the News Journal where he talked about who gets to tell the story of Pensacola, and he mentioned the kind of open secret that Mr. History, T.T. Wentworth, was one of the leaders of the local Klan in the 20s, the Second Klan. And that, yeah, there it is, ultimately resulted in the removal of the Confederate monument, and around this time we start seeing the backlash to that movement, to the 1619 project, to all these other things, which is ongoing, as you may have noticed. But in response to that disclosure, Dr. Wells led the report into looking into T.T. Wentworth and kind of started this broader conversation. And at the conclusion of that project, a lot of the people who were involved in it were looking for something happy, something a little bit more positive to do. And that's when our friend and colleague, Councilwoman Tenyade Broughton, whose sister was our speaker last week, she said, hey, the New York Times did this overlooked project. What if we did something like that locally? And so that was the inspiration to start our project, which was published in the News Journal pretty much the entirety of 2023. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the people that we featured in that project, and then we'll talk about what the next steps are. And then again, just about the backlash, as I'm sure you guys have been reading about and hearing about. The state of Florida and nationally, we've seen all sorts of efforts to kind of suppress this kind of re-examination, critical review of history, and saying, actually, no, the way we did history before was the only way, and we're going to suppress anything that kind of goes against the official story. So it's actually illegal in Florida to teach the 1619 Project. It's not often that you see a specific book highlighted as something that cannot be taught in a curriculum. And you've seen the state saying that you can't have African American Studies classes, even though it's an AP course. All sorts of things like this. It's a rough time. But one of the things that we really like about this project is that it's gotten so much community support. The News Journal has been a great partner with it. We've heard nothing but really good things about it. And even when we go to other areas, Rotary clubs, Robin and I talked to the Colonial Dames last month. People that you might think, would, I don't want to make assumptions, but we've gotten a great response. I'll just say we've gotten a great response everywhere. So one of the things that I like to think is that, when we are telling the stories of our neighbors, even if we're separated by decades or even centuries, it helps us empathize with those stories, and it's harder to just dismiss them as CRT or DEI or whatever the thought terminating cliche is. So it's one of the things we're proudest of with this project. So I want to make sure. Who wants to talk about the John Sunday? I guess we could call Scott up, but this was the first, the one that kicked off this project was an obituary for John Sunday that Scott and Tenyade co-wrote. And again, I urge you all to go to the News Journal, look up this whole project, read them all. But John Sunday was an incredible man, just a remarkable story. And here, I want to just pass the mic. If y'all want to.
Okay. Good morning. I feel like I need to say welcome back to myself. This is my third time. And y'all got cake, so I like y'all. So, who said that? So, John Sunday was, I don't know if the brother was enslaved. His father was white, his mother was African American Egyptian, and so they married after the death of his first wife, who was white. And so he is of the set of the second. Well, I don't know second set. Anyway, he's of the second wife. And so then he gets set free at the death of his father, and but then his white siblings try to re-enslave him and his other siblings. That's sort of the backdrop of him coming into this world. And then he makes a go of this thing we call the American Dream. And I was giving a talk at Five Sisters to UWF learning class. I still remember this very vividly. And one of the sisters there said, I was telling a story about him, how rich he was, how all this investment and all this. And she said, oh, he's like the black Quint Studer. Which is where our perspective is in this world. And I said, no, Quint Studer is the white John Sunday. So it's really understanding. Thank you. It's really understanding the perspective of our country and where we come from in history. This brother, I don't know how much he was worth. Scott, you did the research. Millions, quadrillions? Yeah, more money than Scott and Lauren have, but just a little bit. But this brother did all of that, and then this is his obituary. So 3.5 lines. And so Scott and Tiniande wrote an 800 to 1,000 word, I forget, obituary that really did the justice. So this was the start, and this was a really good start. We went these by their death date. So these were published by their death date. And not all of them, as he goes through this, not all of them did something what we would consider, groundbreaking. But it was important. It added to the fabric. The sister that talked about work, what was it, sister who worked at 20-something years? Civil service. So I remember, and I'll hush. I remember, you can go to the next one, I'll keep talking. Thurgood Marshall, when they were trying to decide about joining the Supreme Court, he worked for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And so some in the NAACP Legal Defense Fund did not want him to go in. And he said, you need people to fight inside the system and outside the system. That's all I'm saying to you, sister. Okay? All right, I'm a hush.
That's it? Okay.
That's my preaching. That's it.
Thanks, Robin. So Scott and Taniati kicked off this project, and then they said, okay, y'all go run with it now. And so we had promised to do an obituary every 2 weeks. And we managed to do that for a year, which is 20, how many? 26. That was a year where we spent a lot of time online together. And we would get one in. We had 17 contributors from across the 2 counties participate in this. And that was really important. It wasn't me as a historian or us as local historians doing this project, but the mayor wrote one, Quint Studer wrote one, who else?
White John Sunday.
Oh, excuse me, right, yeah, the White John Sunday. We had students participate in this, nonprofit leaders, descendants. So we gathered all these folks together. They gave us drafts, and then we worked with them to kind of, check everything and just flush it out. And that was every 2 weeks we published one. And the PNJ was an amazing supporter of this from day one, and they really were champions for this. And they published it on the Sunday paper when you could still get the Sunday paper delivered. But that's another point. So we went through, we can keep going. And we just found all these amazing stories. And we found ways to find these stories that have been kind of whitewashed, if you would, from the general story of this town. And we found the evidence is all there. Right? It's just we had to go and dig it out, and learning from families and hearing their stories and incorporating that with all these historical documents that we found. And by doing this project, we're like rewriting for the first time Black history. And it's not that Black history of Pensacola or this area was forgotten. It's remembered quite well in pockets of the community, but we're sharing it more broadly. And that was probably the most exciting thing, is to have such a broad community buy-in on this. And so we finished the last one. Where are we now? Jenny Hudson.
Robin might want to speak about Jenny.
Oh yeah, please, sorry, just tap me.
Okay, just real quick to this one. This is one that was written by Angela Kyle, and this is her mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. And they grew up in the Brent area, in the Carpenters Creek area. And so Angela, who does some really amazing work here and in New York and in New Orleans around play and recreation, did this one in honor of her great-grandmother, Jenny Huggins. But the thing about this that I really love is this picture. And so I remember having someone, an archivist that we all know, those of us in this project know at least, who told me that Black people, when I was looking for something, she said, Robin, Black people didn't have cameras. That's the sort of thing that we were up against. So that this idea of valuing, whose story are you valuing? I appreciate that y'all are doing your thing about being in. Well, everybody wasn't in. And a whole bunch of people, including many of you in here, were considered out. outsiders, outlandish, out crazy, out in the pasture, a whole bunch of outs. And so this is the evidence. I mean, this is probably a more modern picture, but this is what we were up against. This is what, when we were digging into those things, that we were up against, that people who really did want to tell us no, that we weren't there, that our stories didn't matter. And so that's why I love this picture with Angela's mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother.
Just tap me.
Just tap me,
Tap me,
okay.
tap me. So, yeah, and the beauty of this, the joy of this was working. We have different experiences and perspectives, and then with our contributors and trying to create and agree on one piece. It was a lot of like negotiation and collaboration and kind of being open to hearing different perspectives. And it was such a powerful experience to be a part of over that year. So Henry Stalbert, in these stories that I had heard whispers about or encountered overseeing student projects in the community, we were able to really flesh those out. And by the end of the project, we had covered about 250 years of Pensacola history and telling all these interesting stories from a new perspective. And it was fantastic. And some of the people were rich and famous, and many were just normal people kind of living their lives. And we were able to learn a lot about this community, which was, I think, really empowering. We also encountered and dealt with some really difficult stories as well. And this one was the one, probably the most difficult, was Leander Shaw, who was lynched in Ferdinand Square downtown. And we showed a different perspective. We humanized him. Who was this? We were able to find a lot that hadn't been uncovered about him as an individual. He was married. He probably had kids, and he was leaving to go bring his family over to this new job he got that was working out really well for him. And there's pictures of him. The way he's depicted is often not in a really positive light. So we found this interesting image. It's not him, but that's what a turpentine worker would have looked like, in a more professional picture. And the pictures we chose, we thought we were really intentional about how we talked about people, how we're humanizing everybody as best as we could. And this was an important project. We got a little pushback on this one, in part because we were humanizing him, literally, but so it goes. We have midwives and community leaders. I love this picture of J.T. Spann. This was Joe's and his wife, I believe, that we found. It's just amazing portraits. And there was a robust black middle class, professional class in Pensacola, which was 50-50 black-white population at the beginning of the 20th century. And things changed pretty quickly for a whole bunch of reasons. It was a lot of work. It was fun. It was hard. I don't think I've ever worked that hard in a year, all of us. But it was all about kind of sharing authority with each other and giving each other the grace and that perspective. Since we finished up in January, we've gone back through them all. We've been editing and revising them. I taught a class with a bunch of students over at UWF, and they've contributed some more. They haven't been published yet, but we're pulling them together into a book. And we've added about 10 more, and so we're working with the publisher now and trying to get that book out pretty soon, we hope. Probably takes a year, everything goes slow. But we're really excited about it, and the stories of African Americans in what is now Pensacola, the first one starts in 1569 with 59, sorry, my numbers, with the story of Guiomar, a story that Scott, I think, helped bring to the foreground. And she is one of the first 3 women of African descent that is now in the United States, 3 on those ships that came here and made the settlement, whose name we actually know. So we can humanize these first folks. And she came as an enslaved woman from, she came here via Mexico, what is now Mexico. And so, yeah, we can skip through this.
Go back to the complicated part.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I'll let you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say go back to the complicated part. because this was complicated. So in my head, because I write stories about black people, and in my head, black people are perfect. And everything I write about black people is perfect. And my two brothers up here disagreed with my writing. And that's what made it beautiful, that we came together, as Jamin said, with our different perspectives, but we left with a more robust, detailed, deeper story through the writing, through the contributors, and through the editing. And so it was complicated. The one story that bears to mind is that Euphrosyne? Reshard, who was a black woman, person of color, I think is the more common term that was used for her. And she, through marriage, and she ended up buying other African Americans. So she was an enslaved. We found through one of Jamin's students that she herself had been enslaved. She became an enslaver, and then she set those that she enslaved free. So it's this very complicated story about our history, about who we see in our history books, and then what their journey is, and being big and bad and bold enough to tell the truth about that. And so it was really complicated. How did we even humanize Leander Shaw? We got a lot of pushback on him. He was said to have killed a white woman. So y'all already know that's some taboo stuff right there. I would say something else, but since I'm in church, that's some taboo stuff right there. And so, but to humanize him and to even question the story that had been written about him based on facts. And so that was probably our favorite word, was complicated, because sometimes we just didn't know, and that when we were confronted with some facts that sort of pushed back against our perspective, I think we just said it's complicated, but we had to tell the story.
And it's hard to tell complicated stories in 1,000 words. And you look at it, it might seem like a lot, but there's so much in the process of what do we include, what do we not include. And language is so important. How do you refer to people? How do you not do sort of violence through the words and language you use? And so we had a lot of complicated conversations about like every word in that thing. But then going back this past year through everything, we realized how many mistakes, little errors snuck in, and we're correcting those and updating those as part of the book, because pushing out one of these every 2 weeks was pretty intense, but we did the best we could with the time we had, and we're really proud of that. But the best thing for me, I don't speak for you all, is being able to come out and share this, and just encouraging people to look at it, and then just asking bigger questions, being part of it. And we hope this is a project that can kind of continue at some point. So this is the full list. There's a great picture of us getting some recognition. Yeah, wore a tie that day. Both of us, Joe. Yeah, another great. Yep, so we've gotten to go out and share this, which has been wonderful. So, Joe, do you want to wrap us up?
Sure.
Awesome.
So, again, you can find all of these on the News Journal's website. There's probably some paywall stuff involved if you're not a member or not a subscriber. But we're also happy to share any of these. And again, be on the lookout. Hopefully, we'll find a publisher for these, and we'll get that going. But it's been an incredibly edifying process. I want to say I'm every time I do a service, I feel like I'm so spoiled that Mike feels inspired to write original music for us, and the Remember Me song that we heard earlier in the service, I was so touched by it. So thank you, Mike, for that amazing music, and I think it ties in so well to this idea of remembering our past, remembering these stories. And anyway, this has been a wonderful thing. Those photos were from when this project was recognized by the, it's now, I forget what it's called. It used to be the Freedoms Foundation at Valley Forge, and now it's 2 F's, something forward, founding forward. I'm still learning. But, and then we were also recognized at Civicon, and that was that second photo. So it's been great to have the community support, and thank you all, and thank you to Dr. Wells and to Robin.
All All right. If you're willing and able to stand and grab the gray hymnal here, we're going to sing a song together, a good fitting song, closing song. It's number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Mike, you going to lead us?
Yeah, we're going to sing this one all together a cappella. It's going to be fun. And if you're up for it, we can kind of do the super simple dance where you step to the right and out and then in, and out and then in. We're going to sit at the welcome table.
Thank you. Joe, will you close us out?
All right, our closing words. Out of a community of diverse heritage and belief, we come together to share our hope and to create good in the world. The prophets of all traditions and times have taught that we are called to mercy, generosity, and mutual care, and that to be great is to serve. We know that there can be no enduring happiness for humanity so long as suffering and want go unrelieved. Until all may be sheltered, none of us is truly at home. May the power of our various faiths sustain us in this work, that we may be the hands of holy creativity and justice, and together build a better world. Go in peace.
Sunday sweets.
And see, I knew I recognized it.